Every night, when the city falls silent, something strange awakens. Certain streets that don't exist during the day suddenly appear out of nowhere, long, empty, and waiting. People say it's just a trick of the mind, but those who stepped onto these streets never return the same. Tonight, I'm going to tell you the truth about those cursed roads, the streets that reappear every night, hungry for whoever dares to walk them. Story Part 1. Every night at exactly 3:12 a.m., a street appears behind my house. A street that does not exist on any map. A street that disappears before sunrise. And a street that has already taken 3 people I loved. Tonight, it's coming for me. I first discovered the street exactly 1 year ago, though I now know it had been there long before I ever noticed it. Back then, I lived in a quiet neighborhood, the kind where nothing strange ever happened. A place of routine, familiar houses, barking dogs, morning greetings, and the predictable silence after midnight. But something changed after the night I couldn't sleep, and found myself staring outside at the backyard, trying to distract myself from the insomnia that had been following me for months. I remember glancing at the clock, 3:12 a.m. Such a specific time, a detail I didn't realize mattered until later. I noticed a faint glow behind the line of trees at the edge of my property. At first, I thought it was headlights, maybe someone turning their car around in the woods. But the light stayed, steady and warm, like an old street lamp flickering through leaves. Curiosity pulled me outside. The air was unusually cold for early summer, as if the temperature had dropped only in that one spot. I walked toward the trees barefoot, expecting to see nothing but forest. But the forest wasn't there. Instead, a narrow, paved road stretched forward, a road I had never seen before. It was lined with lampposts, each glowing a dull orange, the kind of light older cities replaced years ago. The houses were small, identical, almost too similar to be real. Every mailbox was the same shape, every lawn the same size, every front porch had the exact same set of 3 steps. The entire street was silent, not peaceful, silent, the kind of silence that feels wrong, like sound itself is holding its breath. I did what anyone else might do. I stepped onto the pavement. The moment I did, a gust of wind swept past me, and the hum of the street lamps grew louder, as if the road were waking up. I walked slowly, scanning each house. Curtains hung motionless. Doors were closed. No cars, no movement, no signs of life. Then, I saw a figure in one of the windows. A woman. She stood perfectly still, her hands pressed against the glass, her head tilted, watching me. Her face was strangely pale, her eyes wide, unblinking. I froze, unsure whether she needed help or was warning me. But before I could react, she lifted one hand slowly and pointed down the street. I followed her gesture. There was someone standing in the middle of the road. A tall, thin man, far too thin. His arms hung unnaturally low, almost reaching his knees. He didn't move, didn't breathe, but I knew he had seen me. I stepped back, suddenly aware of how far I'd wandered. The man tilted his head with a slow, creaking movement, and although he was still at a distance, I swear I heard it, the crack of joints bending the wrong way. I ran. My house was only a few steps behind me when I left, yet it felt like it took minutes to reach the trees again. When I finally burst through the brush, panting, shaking, I turned back. The street was gone. The trees stood exactly where they always had. I told myself it was a hallucination brought on by sleep deprivation. But the next night, at 3:12 a.m., the light returned. And so did the street, and the woman, and the man. Each night the same, until the night something changed. That night, the woman wasn't in the window. The thin man wasn't in the road. But someone else was. My brother. He had died 3 years earlier in a car accident. But there he stood, healthy, alive, smiling the same smile he had the morning he left for work. I didn't think. I ran toward him, tears already filling my eyes. "Michael?" the first called. He walked forward, arms open, but his movement was wrong, lagging, like a puppet being pulled by strings that occasionally tangled. "Come home," he said. Except his lips didn't move. The voice came from everywhere at once. I stopped. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but I couldn't. My feet wouldn't obey. Then something touched my shoulder. I turned. The thin man. He was closer than ever, towering over me, his face stretched too long, his mouth wide but motionless. His eyes were empty, like cavities carved too deep. He leaned down until his forehead nearly touched mine. "You shouldn't have come back," he whispered, though his mouth didn't move either. I stumbled back toward the trees, but my brother reached out and grabbed my arm. His skin felt cold, too cold, and his fingers tightened painfully. "Stay with us," he said. I wrenched free and ran. The hum of the street lamps turned into a roar behind me. The houses vibrated, the pavement cracked. The entire road felt like it was pulling itself closer, trying to swallow me whole. I dove through the tree line, fell to the ground, and rolled onto my back. The street vanished, just gone. For hours afterward, I sat shaking on my kitchen floor, replaying everything in my head. I tried telling myself it wasn't real, a dream, a nightmare, a delusion. But then the messages started. On my phone, from my brother's old number. 3 words every night at 3:12 a.m. "Come back home." I blocked the number. It kept coming. I changed phones. It still came. Every night, "Come back home." Then one night, a 4th word appeared. "Before sunrise." I stopped sleeping entirely. I moved to another state, another city, another life. But on my first night in the new apartment, at 3:12 a.m., a faint orange glow leaked through my bedroom window. I already knew what it was before I opened the blinds. The street. It had followed me. This time the houses were different, taller, narrower, more modern. But the silence was the same. The lamps were the same color. And halfway down the road, my brother waited. Behind him, 2 more figures stepped into view. The woman from the window, and the thin man. Except this time, the man wasn't looking at me. He was looking behind me. I heard a soft tap against the window glass. I turned, slowly. A handprint, pale, long-fingered, spread across the window pane from the inside, as if someone had just pressed their hand there. But I was alone, in the apartment. The room grew colder. The glow outside dimmed. My phone vibrated in my hand. A new message, not from my brother this time. Unknown number, 4 words. "You never left, Daniel." My breath caught. Because my name isn't Daniel. I didn't move. Couldn't. The street outside flickered once. Twice. Then the thin man stepped forward, closer to the trees, closer to my window, closer than he had ever been before. And the last thing I heard, before the entire street blinked out like a dying light, was his voice inside my head. "You will remember who you are, and when you do, we will finish what you started." The orange glow vanished. My room returned to darkness. But the handprint on the glass, it's still there. I tried cleaning it, scrubbing it, covering it. Nothing removes it. And every night since, at exactly 3:12 a.m., a faint orange glow pulses behind my building, growing a little closer each time. Tonight, I know it will reach my window. And I know, whoever Daniel is, wherever he is, he's not the one they're coming for. I am. Story Part 2. Every night at exactly 2:46 a.m., a street appears outside my window. A street I grew up on. A street that burned down 22 years ago. A street that shouldn't exist anymore. But the worst part isn't that it comes back. It's that everyone on it still remembers me. I didn't expect the past to find me. Not after 2 decades of silence. Not after therapy, distance, and time. But trauma is a strange thing. It waits, hiding in corners of your mind like shadows under a locked door. My childhood home, Ridgeway Street, had burned down in 2003. Every house, every neighbor, everyone but me. I survived only because I was sleeping at my aunt's place that night. When investigators questioned me afterwards, they asked who could have started it. I said I didn't know, but that wasn't the truth. I knew exactly who did it, and that's why I moved far away. For years, I tried to forget the screams, the flames, the smell of burning wood, and the sight I'll never erase. A figure standing in the fire, watching me, smiling. A figure that shouldn't have survived. A figure that wasn't human. But all of that seemed like a distant nightmare until last month, when I moved into my new apartment near the edge of town. A small place, old building, creaking pipes, but affordable. My bedroom window faced a narrow alley, nothing interesting. Until the first night. At exactly 2:46 a.m., my room filled with a faint red glow. I thought maybe it was a distant car or a neon sign flickering. But when I went to the window, my body froze. The alley was gone. In its place stretched Ridgeway Street, perfectly recreated, down to the cracked sidewalks, the leaning street lamp, the little blue mailbox in front of my old house. The same houses, the same porches, even the same rusted tricycles left on the lawns. Except there was no fire. Everything was normal. Too normal. I blinked hard, thinking I was hallucinating. But the cold wind that brushed across my skin, the distant sound of a dog barking, the smell of damp concrete, everything felt real. Then I noticed something else. There were people standing in the middle of the street. My neighbors, the ones who died. I recognized them instantly. Mr. Harper, with his straw hat, old Mrs. Leah, clutching her rosary, the twins who always rode their bikes. They all stood silently, facing my window. Their eyes didn't blink, didn't move. They were waiting. For me. I jumped back, heart racing. But when I looked again, the street was gone. Just the dark alley remained. The next night, at 2:46 a.m., it returned again. And the next, and the next. Each night, they stood a little closer. The fifth night, I saw my house clearly. The front door was open. Light spilled out like warm golden syrup. Something inside was moving. A tall shape. A familiar shape. That thing I had seen in the flames years ago. I tried to convince myself to ignore it, to stay away from the window. But curiosity and fear have a strange way of pulling you toward danger you swear you want to avoid. On the 10th night, I made the mistake of stepping outside. The moment my foot touched the ground, the air shifted. A low hum vibrated through the pavement. The street lamps flickered awake, one by one, as if greeting me. My neighbors turned toward me, all of them. Their heads moved too slowly, too perfectly in sync. Their faces were expressionless but wrong, like their smiles had been painted by someone who had never seen a real human smile. Mrs. Leah stepped forward. "You never said goodbye," she whispered, her voice cracking. I backed away. Another neighbor approached. "We waited for you, child." Then the twins. "You left us. You left us to burn." Their skin began to peel, revealing charred flesh beneath. Their smiles widened, unnaturally. I stumbled and ran back toward my apartment door. But the door wasn't there. Behind me, the street stretched endlessly into darkness. Ahead of me, more houses materialized, growing out of the void like buildings being painted into existence. "No escape," a deep voice said. The figure from the fire stepped out of my childhood home. His body was made of smoke and flame, yet his voice was human. Too human. He knew my name. "Evan, come home." I turned to run, but the street curved, looping back onto itself. I kept running, but every direction led me back to the same burning house, the same figure, the same group of burned, staring neighbors. The world twisted. The sky flickered between night and daylight. Time didn't exist here. I fell to my knees, screaming. Then, everything went black. When I opened my eyes, I was in my bed. Morning sunlight poured through the window. For a moment, I thought everything was a dream, a hallucination, some twisted nightmare, until I saw the message written across my window pane. Written in ash, UCANT, outrun a place that remembers you. That night, I packed my bags. I moved across the city to a high-rise building on the 15th floor. But on my first night there, at 2:46 a.m., a red glow filled the room. I didn't want to look. I begged myself not to look. But I did. And there, 15 floors above the ground, suspended in midair outside my window, was Ridgeway Street, upside down, twisted. burning slowly, silently, as the people on it crawled along the pavement like insects. And in the center, the burning figure stared straight at me, hanging from the sky. My phone buzzed. A notification. Unknown number. 3 words. Open the window. The glass cracked. Once, twice. And as the cracks slowly spread, forming burning lines across the pane, I finally understood the truth. It was never the street coming back. It was coming to finish what it started. And tonight, the window will not hold. The end.